trading foreign exchange. We started with non-deliverable forwards, which are products that you use to trade emerging market currencies like Korea, Brazil, and so forth. And we recently launched spot, which is euro dollar, for example, more like G10 currencies, and swaps. I've been in business for over 20 years. This is my 5th platform. I had a successful exit with the previous platform called FastMatch. I sold it to a company called Euronext, 157 million. So the reason we're here is the fact that the crypto market has a problem. And you see on the left side, you see all these banks. We have those banks. So they're trading foreign exchange with us. We have 37 big banks, asset managers, hedge funds. So, cream de la creme. And basically they called us and they said, Dmitry, we have a big problem. And I said, what's the problem? They said, well, our customers, they want to access and they want to buy and sell Bitcoin, but we can't offer that services. And what happens instead, money is leaving and it's going to Coinbase, it's going to Gemini, but we need to offer the services. But I said, well, why can't you offer the services? Well, they said, because we can't touch the physical instrument. There is a KYC, ML problems, poor infrastructure, governance problems, they go down. It will take forever for our lawyers to get comfortable with touching the physical stuff. Okay, so how are we going to solve the problem? Well, the problem is solved by using instrument called non-deliverable forward for this instrument. This actually instrument has been used by the banks from 90s. And that instrument is specifically used for trading something that they can touch, which is currencies of emerging markets. So basically the way instrument works, you don't actually even exchange the underlying asset. You bet on the movement. So let's say you long a currency, months from now, you look what the currency is, and a winner transfers to loser dollars, US dollars, just wire money, that's it. So it's very, very big market actually. If you look at the non-deliverable forwards and foreign exchange, it's trades about $500 billion a day. And what we think what we have here is the solution to this problem for the banks, and we discussed the solution with several banks. We have 2 very large global banks that are investors. So we have one that's huge New York bank. You probably see branches on every corner. And we have a huge UK bank that's invested in us. You'll see probably their branches in every emerging market country. So basically, they already have the order flow from their clients because their clients, they want to trade, they just can't offer them. And we essentially have a guaranteed customer base. So they have already access to CME futures. Somebody asked, well, the CME is there, banks have access to CME. Well, the CME is relatively liquid. I know they've been very successful, but if you compare CME to larger physical market, it's very small. So when a big bank comes in and tries to buy $1 billion a day of something, they're going to move the price, which is not good. So they're looking to expand the access to liquidity outside of CME, and that's where we come in. Our bread and butter is NDFs in FX, and so it's very easy for us to extend that into the cryptocurrency market. So a little bit about us, why we can do it. Number one, this is my 5th time, so I built very successful platforms in US equities. This is my multi-asset venue. My partner, Jason Worst, he's here. He's from Bridgewater. He was head of global execution desk at Bridgewater for many years out of Connecticut. They trade multiple asset classes, 24 hours a day. There's another guy from Bridgewater that runs our operation, Mike. He used to work for Jason. We have a lot of advisors, very established advisors and board members, including from the bank. We also have ex-head trader before Jason, the previous head trader of Bridgewater, on our advisory board as well. So our background, we really know what we do. We have customers, the old paper, and really in terms of timing, In terms of regulatory perspective, we are domiciled in Bermuda. In Bermuda, if you want to trade crypto assets, it falls under DABA law, which is digital asset law that they passed in 2018. We do have 24 Exchange also have entities in Miami and in London, but for this particular reason, we picked Bermuda because our existing clients are trading foreign exchange with us. We already connected to our Bermuda entity, so we have all the paperwork, we have all the infrastructure, so it's very easy for them. They don't have to change much to expand into cryptocurrency NTF. However, in Bermuda, if you domicile in Bermuda, in order to trade cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency derivative, you have to have exchange license. And so what we did, we applied with the Bermuda Monetary Authority for the exchange license, and we are expecting to get it in July. At the same time, we aligned 5 big market makers to provide liquidity to our strategic partner bank and other banks. So they are in process of connecting. So I think in July, it's all going to take place, and we can expand our state-of-the-art software into crypto. And again, it's very easy for us. We're foreign exchange people. We have a trading desk staffed with Bridgewater guys. We do it every day. Currently in foreign exchange, we do about 500 million a day. But what's exciting for us about the Bitcoin is that the profit margins are much higher. So for example, in NTFs, when we charge half a basis point for this, because it's institutional, it's still going to be super cheap. We're going to charge 5 basis points. But it's 20 times more than NTF market. And the second bit what we're excited is that it's very volatile. And the exchanges, what they do very well. There's volatility, as long as it can stay up, right? If the exchange stays up, then when it's very volatile, they do a lot of churning. And so the exchange really, they don't take risk, nothing. The more churning, it goes like EasyPass. The more cars go, the more money they make. So we think that with our expertise, we can provide real solution to this bank. There's nobody else providing the solution. We already agreed with them on the contract, and they have contract. Nothing that before us was defined. So we actually created non-deliverable forward contracts for the banks and the market makers, and they're all happy. We're going to use CME reference rate as a settlement, so we're going to settle based on CME. All the banks have CME access to the market data. They have the information. It's very easy on their back offices.
All right.
So we're very excited.
Let's get to the judges.
Interesting.
Thanks. 24 Exchange, the judges.
So I have a question about the assumption here from your experience in Forex markets. And I love that there's maybe a new kind of contract bringing liquidity to Bitcoin crypto markets. But I thought that I was hearing that this never been done before. Can you point to other markets around the world where this specific kind of contract is being used? I'm not familiar.
I mean, there are in retail market, there are contracts are used by retail broker called CFDs, contract for delivery. The big difference between CFD, and that's how typically the derivatives are traded in the retail market. The difference between contract for delivery CFD and non-deliverable forward is that the terms of the settlement for contract and delivery, the broker dictates. So if you want to account with the broker decides what price the Bitcoin closed at and how much money you make. In the institutional space, with the NTF contract, it relies on independent benchmark, which is CME closing price. And so it's very fair, it's independent, and then let's say if CME is not available, there's a whole procedure of what do you do. So it's much more kind of organized, institutionalized, and the NTF market versus CFD market is more whatever broker decides.
Just a quick follow-up question. In your conversations around this kind of contract, do you have a sense of what this market might be sized, what the demand is for this?
Well, we have one of our strategic partners told us that they have more volume than CME can handle. That's why they're doing it. So it's from one guy. I think we expect, if we get 3 banks on, I would expect next 12 months to do about $1 billion a day.
Any of these wirehouses in the U.S.?
Yes, one. Yes,
Okay.
We have the demand comes from the U.S.
So are you disclosing which wirehouse in the U.S. is an investor, or they're going to put this there? Because what I'm wondering is the FX desk in a wire is a regulated desk. It marks to market every day. It's regulated like And I don't, is the US regulator on board for
Yeah,
this?
well, the NDF market is regulated by in US by CFTC.
Yeah.
So big banks, they have a designation what they call swap dealer. And so what happens is when you trade NDFs, there's a certain reporting. They report to the government certain details. What is the midpoint
So
and so
this
forth.
US wirehouse, their compliance group has approved them to trade this or
Yes.
just invest in it?
Yes.
Trade it? Trade it.
Yes, 100%. There is actually a quote, from that wirehouse on May 18th. There was basically a shareholder meeting, and the CEO of that wirehouse literally said that our clients want it, and we're in the process of getting it.
And are they investing in you or just using it?
They not using it. It starts in July because there is nothing like this exists right now. They can't touch Bitcoin at all. Only CME, the only one venue they have. They can touch the CME. We would be number 2 venue, and with much bigger access to liquidity because we will access actual physical. And so what we do, we create a bridge between the banking system, the banks, and the physical system, and we take that liquidity from the physical system and we'll push it up to banks.
Besides Bermuda, what other regulatory things are you counting on?
Well, we have companies in 3 jurisdictions. One's Bermuda, one is US, and London. And so the reason we do that is for kind of an arbitrage. So if something happens in Bermuda, we can move. The reason we prefer Bermuda for cryptocurrency product is because our existing clients already negotiated, legal paperwork and so forth for Bermuda. So if we have to, basically, let's say something happens to Bermuda, we have to move. We have to repaper those clients, and it's going to take some time. Probably 6 to 9 months. But worst case to worst, we can move it. Now, if we move it to the United States, we would have to register a SEF because it's under CFTC. It wouldn't take that long to register a SEF.
Do you think you'll get other US wires under this Bermuda license? Do you think others will follow this first one?
We have already them. They want to do it. They working it right
So
now.
you clear-
It's not like if, it's happening.
Yeah.
What do you see as the biggest risk to this going live in July, like you mentioned?
The biggest risk is, so what happens is, let's say you call Goldman Sachs and you say, I want to buy $1 million of Bitcoin. So what happens is the Goldman Sachs write you a derivative, essentially, and says, look, if Bitcoin go up, you'll make money. If it goes down, lose money. But then what happens, Goldman Sachs has to turn around and hedge that derivative, right? Because now you have risk with you, we have to hedge it. And so when they turn around and go to physical exchanges, we have to pre-fund the purchase. So now imagine the big numbers. Let's say you have a bank that's coming in every day with $1 billion. So whoever wrote the derivative to that bank now have to turn around and find $1 billion and go to Coinbase deposit and all these exchanges and finance the purchase. So basically, I think that's one big risk. We solve that. You can have solutions. You can borrow the money.
Put a limit on the carry.
You can do CME futures, sir.
Put a limit on the carry.
Yeah, but just think about it. Like you're a small market maker in Chicago, like in Chicago market, and bank comes in and says, "I want to trade with you $1 billion." You go, "Well, I gotta go buy $1 billion. You gotta find $1 billion, buy it." Then next day they come in, "I want to trade another $1 billion with you."
You had me at the beginning. I can't believe you have a wire that's giving compliance okay to this. I live in a regulated world. I deal with this every day.
If we sign an NDA, I'll send you all the
Yeah, we're
information.
gonna go there, my friend.
All right, let's do it.
And I'm gonna win the prize. I want the prize.
Let's sign that NDA right now, baby. All right, everybody. Solo.
24 exchange,
So
thanks.
anyway, we're looking for $7 million for 10% of the company. So
We can talk. We can talk.
All right. Closing out with the juicy info. All right, come on. Thanks.
All right, Dimitri. Bring it on, baby.
All right, next. Saz Mining, come to stage. All right.
Mira. fila, huevón, para que sepas.
All right, well.